What's up, bitches? Welcome to Deliciously Nothing, episode 138 of the OG series. I'm your regular host, Nick Weir. I've got my regular co-host, Meow Meow, Rev, with us, and we've got some fun-ass guests tonight. First, we have wrestler Draven Lee.
How's it going?
And then we have comedian Cal Matthews, who's a buddy of mine in our comedy scene here in Nashville.
All right. Bitches, nice to be here.
What's up, bitches? So we can do it all over again if you would like. And we also have Matt Nagy coming on here in like an hour or so. So, pretty packed, fun night tonight. I'm glad that I have you all here. Rev's gonna pour you guys some shots, and we're gonna salute. You know.
Sounds good to me.
And I'm gonna light some,
So
herbs.
This whiskey tonight was a gift from Nevin.
Yes.
He came on the show and was very full of gifts. He painted us a painting.
It's right up there. There's some little happy trees behind
Happy
you.
trees.
Up in the sky.
Happy little trees.
He got us a bottle of Irish whiskey. I think it's Irish.
Yeah.
Yeah, Irish whiskey. The busker.
All right. To a good evening.
Yeah, for sure.
Cheers, everybody.
Cheers.
We brought together an interesting cast here. Draven, I met through my girlfriend.
Mr. Nagy, would you like a shot?
Thanks. All right, Matt's good.
Oh, that is.
I met Draven through my girlfriend actually, because your wife and
Mutual
her are good friends.
Yeah.
So, and he was telling me all about wrestling, and I had to have him on. I had to bring him to you guys. I had to bring him to Rev, because he's just an interesting dude.
I appreciate that.
I've got some early wrestling history. Not me physically wrestling people, but like as a kid, I was really into Memphis wrestling.
Okay.
So I grew up on actually Andy Kaufman, big tie-in with comedians back in the
The whole
day.
Jerry Lawler thing.
So yeah, man, and it's just like I didn't until like a few years ago realize that David Letterman was in on it on the show. I mean, obviously they had staged it, but to the point like that David Letterman was actually in on it too. I was like, man, that's just fantastic. And the fact that they hit it for so fucking long. Man.
Yeah. It's always teamwork, usually. Sometimes there's some real animosity and stuff, but for the most part, it's all teamwork. They'll even take something that is a legit issue and use it to make money, and then they get professional and they make money and everybody's happy,
Well, that's the bottom line.
Yeah. I was actually just in Memphis Friday.
Oh, doing a wrestling event?
Yeah, show Committed to Wrestling. Well, look that up on social media.
Memphis wrestling used to be like the shit when I was a kid, and they would come here to the Nashville Fairgrounds back when it was like the fairgrounds.
Mm-hmm.
And we would, I think it was Sundays or something like that, and we would see guys like Bill Dundee and Tojo Yamamoto and stuff like that. There was one time we went, and like you're a 7-year-old, you're like in love with what's happening because it's just violence, and it would spill out from the ring into like the crowd and then into the concession.
Yeah.
To the point where like everybody's like trying to look to see what's going on. Like they're behind the fucking counter, dude. You're seeing shit go everywhere.
Yeah.
They're just
Coming out.
There's
There's blood every fucking where.
I've got videos of me doing that. That's threw a
rad.
guy on a chin lock on the bleachers and yelled that I was wrestling and the ref needed to leave me alone.
My mom would send me to get autographs. There was that one dude. He was called the Mouth of the South. He was like
Jimmy Hart.
All right, thank you.
Met him several times.
So my mom
Awesome
loved
guy.
him. So I met him several times as a 7-year-old. But just like my mom was just in love with like all these wrestlers. So I would meet so many wrestlers just because I was getting an autograph from my mom. And they would come out and talk to my mom and shit.
Right. Yeah. Of course. Bill Dundee. Actually, you mentioned him a second ago. I think he may have actually finally fully retired. But a year.
He's still alive. I didn't know he was still alive.
A year or two ago, maybe he was still having matches.
Really?
Like not full time. He didn't do it every week or anything.
He was a pit bull. I don't know what he's like now.
He was probably like 75 and still having matches. And still looked fairly decent too, like in decent shape.
Dude, he was like this little sawed-off little motherfucker, man. But god damn, man.
He's super cool. He's really old school when it comes to like the wrestling business and stuff. But he's one of those guys that if you really want to do it and be better, then he's willing to put time into you. You know, he worked for Burt Prentice when I was there in Nashville before Burt passed, and he was kind of like one of the backstage hands, and he had an on-screen role too, but he commentated, he managed and stuff like that. I don't think he had any matches at that point.
What got you into wrestling?
Oh man, when I was a kid, my dad was, well, mom and dad both were wrestling fans, probably more so dad, and I saw it a couple of times, and I was like, well, what is this? You know, I'm like 3-4 years old, and I saw the Macho Man.
So it was in WWF?
Yeah, and this is like when he had just started doing, right after the 80s, because in the 80s he was a little more basic, and then he started wearing like the tassels and the crazy shades and the hats. One reason I wear a cowboy hat too. I'm like, what? And as a kid I was like, whatever that is, I've got to do that. Okay. I have to do it, and I have to do it right now. So I saw him do the elbow drop, and I tried to do it to my teddy bear and broke my toe. And, yeah, and my mom was like, you don't let him watch any more wrestling, I'll throw you out of the house. So then every time my mom was gone, Dad would have a tape that he recorded and put it in, and I'd watch wrestling.
That's pretty rad.
Nice.
Because it's like, hey, if you like it, if you like it and it makes you not be an asshole, then we're going to watch wrestling, you know, so. Right. And then you fast forward a little bit, I was breaking my dad's ladders and my mom's lawn chairs and backyarding with my buddies and all that stuff. And then
jumping off the ladders.
Yeah, absolutely. You know,
it was religion here in Nashville. Like everybody.
It still is to a certain degree, man. It's starting to come back alive again in Memphis. There's a few promotions, they don't get along with each other, but I've somehow worked for all of them.
It's a good way to be.
Midget wrestling.
I've worked with a few midgets. They were really cool.
Okay. So, like, would you get in like a wrestling match like you and like 10 of them?
Oh, absolutely. That'd be awesome. Especially with my
character.
How
many do you think you could fight at once?
We're talking like in waves of a certain number. Like,
just like
with a 6-foot ball, 75 waves.
We used to have a bit on the show which was 10 little people versus. So we'd have 10 little people versus Bruce Lee, 10 little people versus.
Oh man, Bruce Lee would own them.
Right, right. But it's you, and it's like all of the like famous movie like little people. So you got Mini Me and Dude from Fantasy Island.
Peter Dinklage.
Yeah, Peter Dinklage. So it's like 10 of those guys.
I feel like Peter Dinklage is the boss.
Send Vernon though.
I feel like with those people I would definitely have a fight. It'd be entertaining to whoever paid to see it.
I think Peter Dinklage is the only one that would make it out.
Yeah, he's the little guy.
The last one.
About him being the Toxic Avenger. Have y'all seen the?
I have not heard about that.
Dude, I don't know.
When they said that Peter Dinklage was going to be in the Toxic Avenger, I thought he was going to play like the dude before the Toxic Avenger.
Yeah.
The fact that no, he's playing the Toxic.
So we're going to have a small
Toxic. Yeah.
I mean, I love Toxic Avenger, so I'll definitely have to check it out.
The first one definitely is like if it's one of those movies that's so bad it's good. But I mean,
that's the best movies to watch. 2 hours of your life you'll never get back, and here you are playing it again.
Yeah.
Because you suck as a person.
The Terrifier movies are like that for me.
Yeah, my wife loves those. She got me on those. Yeah.
Like I'm almost like she's excited for the third.
She's anticipating part 3 like she's having a baby. Like it's just.
Well, like the first one was okay.
She's not, by the way.
The first one was cool, but the second one, there was a point where like there was this bedroom scene. If no one's ever seen it, there's a point where he's got this chick in the bedroom, and he just starts breaking her down like a lobster. You're like, you're not ready for it. You're like, well, I mean, I've seen some shit before.
Totally whack, dude. Yeah,
dude. So like
the dude that played him was at Spookala. That's a horror convention in Florida, I'll call it. They do it. I think they're doing it in Tampa next time. But the guy that played him, I cannot remember his name.
Well, the guy that plays
Art the Clown.
Yeah. He's the one that makes those movies.
Yeah,
if it wasn't for him, the movies would be jack
we
shit.
didn't go up and meet him. Yeah. We didn't go up and meet him. He had a line a mile long, but they did a little panel, and he was answering questions. He was really cool. And the girl with like the curly hair, it's she's in at the end of it with Chris Jericho, the little scene where he's like the security guy. She sings the Clown Cafe song or whatever. She did that live there on the mic at Spookala, and that was pretty cool. She had green hair there, and she was talking about Chris Jericho and how he was cool. And I think he's probably going to play a pivotal role on the third one because he doesn't get killed there at the end. So I'm hoping there's like a Art the Clown versus Jericho scene. He just kills Jericho or something. Not that I want Jericho to die. I love Chris Jericho, but he has to get killed by Art the Clown. So he just has to.
Yeah. The guy guy that plays the clown is this. He's the one that, like, because the first Terrifier, the movie itself is horrible.
Oh, it's
sucks.
awful too.
But it's the dude's like performance in it.
Yeah.
Like you're watching to see what he's going to do next.
And then they got a bigger budget because of how good he did.
Exactly. And then like I would actually like to see them like remake it, like a studio actually, all right, but with the same dude, with Art the Clown, the same guy who did it. It's like no one's going to be able. But to me, clowns aren't funny.
Yeah.
But that motherfucker.
Well, that's what happened with Saw, isn't it? Like, didn't it go to a film festival or something like that?
I'm not sure.
Like the first Saw movie was a little short film.
The first Saw movie was one of those movies. You are right. It was a short film first.
And then that production, and then that film crew took it over, and now there's some.
But what's the big thing about Saw is like that was one of the first movies that had like a real twist ending.
Yeah.
You had like the M. Night Shyamalan shit, but like if you didn't know that Bruce Willis was dead within the first 5 minutes of that movie, you're a fucking moron. But it's like, but the fact that like you're watching this movie the whole time with this dude in the center of the fucking thing not moving, and then all of a sudden he gets up and you're like, what? What the fuck?
I love Tobin Bell. He was supposed to be at a convention that we're going to, and he had to change it because I guess he's filming something or whatever, which is good news. But
I didn't realize till just recently that like James Wan that directed the Saw movies. I didn't know that he also directed The Conjuring. A couple of them.
He's done a lot of good stuff. He's done a lot of stuff. Like I'll see things that I wouldn't even think that he'd be part of, and then you would see James Wan in the title. Now I don't know if it's like the same guy or not, but I mean, clearly if you're going around as James Wan, I mean, you're probably James Wan.
That's pretty sick. I've really only seen his Saw movies and like the majority of like The Conjuring.
I can't sit through The Conjuring. All of
some of it is like kind of ridiculous at times.
Okay, so
it's holy
first of all, it's Poltergeist, especially the very first one. It's Poltergeist. They remade Poltergeist.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know, that's all they did. They just changed the characters. So I mean, I can't get into it. It's so derivative. You know, that one scene that everyone talks about where the red and black dude is standing behind him. He's like, doing that. That was legitimately like, oh shit. But I mean, for the most part, you know, it wasn't scary.
I think that was Insidious too, wasn't it? I think that was Insidious.
Okay. There's something I get mixed. I get Insidious and The Conjuring and shit all the time.
Somebody said that was Darth Maul's messed out cousin or something.
Yeah. Well, it's like all the like possession movies. I feel like they all have like the same arc, and they always end with like, oh, everyone's like, I don't want a horror movie where everyone's fine. Like, I want maybe one limping survivor. You know, like Texas Chainsaw Massacre shit. Like that stuff is where it's at.
I will say some of the later movies in the Conjuring series do kind of make up for that. Like there's a couple where it's like it is very unresolved. And like the demon or the spirit or whatever it is like still at unrest.
Yeah, because it has to lead up to the Conjuring stuff. Like a lot of the old stuff.
Is there a link to this right now? Because I'll post it.
Yeah, if you just go to YouTube and put in Delicious and Nothing, will pop up.
We should be live right now.
I'll share that so the homies.
So one movie that was actually surprising if you guys are into movie was In a Violent Nature. I know like when it first came out, everybody was like the reviews are mixed. People were like, oh, it's so horrible, it's a slow burn, you know, don't waste your money. And other people think it was fantastic. I always watch shit on bootleg first, allegedly. I watch shit on bootleg first before going to the theater, because the theater experience, it's so fucking expensive now. And then you gotta go in, you gotta choose your seat before even going in, and you don't know who the fuck you're gonna be sitting next to and shit. So I try to avoid the theater now, but man, In a Violent Nature is someone's interpretation of Friday the 13th. Like, it's Friday the 13th Part 2, but art house.
Nice.
Like, dude, I enjoyed it so much. Like, I watched it on bootleg, and then turned right around and they had it on pay-per-view, and I bought it on pay-per-view, and then watched it, you know. And which pissed me off about it, so if you go in the theater and watch In Violent Nature, you'll get it in the widescreen aspect ratio. Yeah. But if you buy it digitally, they do the old school thing, and it's the square 4:8 or 4:3 ratio, whatever it is. Mm-hmm. So, like, if you buy it, you're only going to get the old school ratio. So if you want to see this movie in its full glory, like you really need to, because the way it's shot, you have to see it in theater. I don't know if it's still in theater now, but if you missed it in theater, maybe they might release it for maybe Halloween or something.
Yeah.
They do re-releases all the time.
That was the very first thing that pissed me off because you had this great cinematic, epic film style. Like the camera guy is just, he should be really awarded. The coloring is really great and everything, but when you buy it, it's in that fucking old school fucking.
That's rad.
It sucks cock, man.
It's
really
kind
ruins
of
it.
like.
There's anything wrong with that.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with sucking cock.
2024.
Well,
Me and my friends suck cock.
well, it's like some of Christopher Nolan's movies, you know, the way he
Suck cock.
shoot. But some of them do suck cock. But, yeah, we're not gonna talk about the Dark Knight Rises.
Leave my Tuesdays out of this.
We don't need to talk about that. We don't have to.
No, let's go. No, let's talk about it.
Oh my God, dude! Oh, I do want to say
Dark Knight Rises.
hello to Grandma. What's up?
There you go.
Happy birthday!
Oh, man.
Hi, Grandma.
He's got his birthday tomorrow, right?
Is it tomorrow?
I think it's tomorrow's the 22nd.
I don't.
He said his party was tomorrow. That's all I know. But hello, Grandma. We love you.
Happy birthday, Grandma.
Happy birthday, Grandma.
We hope your cock gets sucked.
We're talking about dicks and shit in front of our grandma.
Yeah. So
Grandma loves sucking cock.
Somebody's done more. I mean, if she did more of that, half of us wouldn't be here. So.
You know.
You gotta enjoy those golden years. I mean, what are you gonna? I lived in, like an hour south of the Villages in Florida, and that's pretty much just all old people sucking cock.
I think when you get old,
I know you're on the target.
You would suck cock. Oh, actually, is there one with a shot?
I'm all set. Thanks.
I'll have another one.
All right.
I'm always down for shots.
Hell yeah.
hell yeah. There you go. You guys get stinky.
Hell yeah.
There you go.
Shots are getting poured right now.
I wish I could do a Steve Austin, but I can't. So we'll just have to
Cal,
to suffer
you,
whatever that was.
So
Happy birthday.
Grandma.
I met you in the Nashville scene in what, 2021?
Somewhere around there. When
about
22, I think, is when I moved back here.
Yes,
Yeah.
22 then would have been.
How long have you been doing comedy?
And
Too long. 7 years.
yeah,
Yeah.
Shit.
You've
Yeah.
been doing it a
Unless
long
you
time.
count like COVID, but yeah, I started 7 years ago. So.
Taking that gay beer.
Yeah.
What got you into comedy?
Ooh, good question. So growing up, I just loved watching comedy. I used to listen to Bill Cosby cassettes, and my dad worked at a gospel radio station, and they would have these segments because he did the morning show. It's like Morning Zoo, but it's as close as you can get on a gospel station. And they would have these segments where they would play old school Grand Ole Opry comedians. I think Jerry Clower was one of them. There's a few other ones I can't remember, but they would play and then Andy Griffith stand-up comedy stuff. And I got into Bill Cosby, Brian Regan, a lot of the clean comedy, which is crazy because it's not what I do now.
Cosby back in the day.
Was there a such thing as
Oh,
clean
great!
comedy?
He's a fucking great. He was a great comedian.
When himself
Yeah.
came out,
Yeah.
that was
Yeah.
the peak of Bill Cosby comedy. That's
Yeah.
before he became the TV dad. Himself, that was 84 or something like that.
Yeah.
After himself, that's when you got Eddie Murphy, and Eddie Murphy just destroyed everything.
Yeah.
It was him and Carlin and Pryor. That was it.
Yeah.
And then Hicks came out
I remember being a kid, right, and watching Full House. You probably know where I'm going with this.
I don't.
Watching Full House as a kid, and seeing Bob Saget as that family man, right? And then years later,
See his shit.
I was randomly just flipping channels on satellite TV at my mom's house, right? I had moved back there after a breakup and such, and there's Bob Saget. I'm like, Bob Saget does stand up? What the fuck is this? And he's talking about monkeys fucking and man, you were killing my childhood.
Yeah,
you owe me a childhood, but I'll never get it back.
I always thought that Bob Saget was a clean comic, and then I saw Half Baked in that one scene in Half Baked where he's like, "What are you telling me? You're in here for fucking?" Either in Dave Chappelle's in rehab.
Yeah.
You're in here for pot? Have you ever sucked dick for pot? And so it's holy shit. And then you wind up seeing his stuff, and he's brutal and funny and quick. When you start paying attention to a comedian, you start really seeing more of their stuff.
Yeah.
And man, I mean, Bob Saget is just one of the funniest motherfuckers I've ever seen. I mean, he's right there with the greats.
Yeah.
It's crazy to me though, because like
Rest in peace.
yeah, R.I.P. The way that they like would get those gigs, I mean everyone knows, but like the way they get those gigs, they do stand up. I believe he's an LA guy, so they do stand up like at the Comedy Store, Laugh Factory, whatever. And these people would like, the agents would come to the shows and they'd be like, get a sitcom deal. So someone watched him do like his stand up and it was like, that guy would make a great dad for a sitcom.
That's how dirty his stuff
Like,
was,
what the
dude.
fuck?
That's insane.
Yeah. And then the Olsen twins grew up to be drug addicts. So I mean, like, yeah.
I remember the Fuller House show. I watched a couple episodes of that, and he says something about them. I can't remember what he said.
Is that the sequel?
Yeah, because they mentioned Michelle, which was the character that they played, And he says something and just looks at the camera. Like total fourth wall break. I'm like, man, what a fucking legend.
Nice. Yeah, he was funny.
Apparently he was kind of shitty, too. I don't know if that's true, but... They wait till you're dead to run.
Guess we'll never
talk
know.
Shit.
Yeah, we'll never know, man.
Most people, when they get a certain amount of money, they tend to. Like you got guys that like Howard Stern, who were started out very humble people, and then they become like this point where like they have to have a wall, like a bubble around them.
Yeah.
And like there's guys who have lost jobs because they've tried to go up and shake his hand and say, hey, I work with you, blah blah blah, and then they don't work there anymore. So
That's
it
fucked
does
up.
get to people's head.
They say never to meet your heroes, and I guess that's true to a certain degree. I've went and had beers with dudes I've watched on TV, man. Like I just wrestled a guy 2 Saturdays ago, a guy named Chase Stevens. If you guys know him, he's not famous, I guess, but he's pretty well known. In 2006, 2005 or so, I was still backyarding with my buddies, and you had to watch TNA wrestling on Wednesdays. It was like a $10 pay-per-view, right? And we'd always talk either my buddy Josh, his mom, or my mom into ordering it. Well, that night, his mom ordered it, and we watched it, and Chase did a moonsault, a backflip off the cage, right? When I was still in school, and then I wrestled him 2 weeks ago. I've wrestled him a few times, and then we go out, we have some drinks, and it's like he's just a dude,
All right, so okay, he's just a dude, right?
Yeah.
But when you're wrestling, are you wrestling him in character, or are you connecting the point that like, oh, this is the guy that I grew up watching?
I mentioned that going into it, but he was the villain. He was the bad guy.
So at this point, he's in character. He doesn't give him two shits.
Absolutely, and he's so good at it. Yeah.
Do you have a type of like method acting when you're doing wrestling?
Man, with me it was like I try to go back to the influences. I think that wrestling has gotten away from a lot of the characters now. You see a guy come to the ring, and you see the same guy if you run into him at Walmart. You run into me at Walmart, you run into a different guy than you saw at the show.
Right.
That's why I do the paint, and like I was saying earlier, before we started, my persona is like basically Rob Zombie started going to the gym and playing Fallout with some pirates. That's my whole thing. It's wild. If you look up Draven Lee on YouTube or Facebook, you'll see all kinds of mass fuckery.
Put pictures of his. Wait, did you bring a headshot or no?
I have some in the car.
Oh, hell yeah.
I could pull it off of Facebook.
I wanted him to give us one of his.
Oh, I will for sure. Absolutely. I'll give you all one. But it's I try to go back to the Macho Man. I'm sure he didn't act like that in real life. If he did, I'm sure his wife had a wonderful life. You look at The Undertaker as a prime example. He's retired now. And he's playing video games on YouTube, and like he's popping in on other dudes' videos and saying, "Oh yeah, this guy's an idiot." I mean, you're the Undertaker. Yeah. You bury people. You devour souls. And what do you do when you're killing my childhood? You can't just be a guy from Texas.
So he's not on there as the Undertaker.
Well, he's not on TV. If he does an appearance, he's the Undertaker.
Yeah, but he's sitting there playing video games with.
Yeah, well, he's broke it now because he's fully retired, allegedly.
Right,
I think he might have another match. But it's like, no, he's just a dude. I mean, I knew the whole time he was just a dude, but I didn't need to see that. Yeah. It's like, oh, he's sitting there playing a video game and talking to people and charges $1,000 for a cameo and gets it. Like he saves dogs and he likes tigers and shit. It's like now guys are backstage and they're turning their phone around, and there he is. If you'd done that to him 10 years ago, he'd have punched you in the face. Because you're breaking his character. And now it's like, oh, he's just being a dude. He never drew the curtain back until he was done. So I break the character all the time on my social media and stuff, but I play it off as an alter ego. Like once I put the paint on and take my pants off, it's business.
There's a lot of comedians that wind up like getting characters, but then also like when you meet them, they're still trying to be that character too, and it's kind of rough. And it's just like it's hard for them to kind of separate at a certain point.
I think Larry the Cable Guy is probably the best example of that, because he was just some dude, and he didn't even talk like that.
Right.
That wasn't even really him.
Bobcat Goldthwait was like that for a long time. Like everyone figured that he was really spastic like that until he started directing and shit.
Dice is still like that, obviously. But like, I think because of this stuff, because of podcasting, it's so hard to like get on stage when people have seen you do hours and hours and hours of podcasts, and they're just like, you've got to like present this it's a persona, but it's like it's relatable, it's true to life. It's like I'm listening to this guy talk. So if I'm saying shit that's like off the wall, especially if I'm talking about my life, and then someone just watched a 4-hour podcast with me talking just normal, I don't think people will connect in the same way. Maybe, I don't know. Casey Rocket does a good job.
There's guys that will wind up coming in hot on the show here, like they'll come in character, and like
dude. We've had a couple.
This year, we had 2 guys in particular, and both were fairly at the end of the show, and they came, and it was just one of those like, whoa, dude, like, this isn't a gig. What the fuck, It's just like they wind up coming in so hot and wind up being so uncomfortable, and you're trying to roll with it, but like you wind up getting thrown off because like they've got all this shit prepared before they even, and when they're up here, then they're firing off scuds, and you're like, I give up.
Then they get 5 minutes in, and
I like to show like both sides. Like I'll post on my Facebook like, oh, I'm going to the gym, or I'm gonna wash the car today, or I'm sitting here eating Cheetos and petting my cat and playing Fallout, and then the next day I'm in face paint and I'm stabbing a dude. Like it's
That's true. Your face paint's almost Darth Maul-esque.
It depends on.
I say,
I think
some of it I've seen.
I do the kind of skull. I'll go ahead and mention that while we're here. My original trainer, he was just, I didn't go to a huge wrestling school. I didn't pay $5,000, and I got a lot of shit for that too. But there's a guy named Tommy. There was a guy named, all over the place. Kane actually runs one in Knoxville. He's the mayor there in Knox County.
Yeah, there is a wrestler.
You guys ever see those Kane movies, the Fear No Evil?
CW, or something like that. Yeah, he did really good in that. But he's the mayor of Knox County. I've only met him briefly for a second. He's huge. He's 6'8". But my original trainer was a guy named Tommy Davis out in Jamestown, where I'm from. And I was like 16 years old. I didn't have any money. And he was like, brother, you set the ring up, you take it down, you go clean the shitter, you sell concessions, did all that. And finally, they let me get in the ring, and I think he hit every move he knew how to do, which was a lot on me. And at the time, I was a backyarder, so I could take the bumps and all that stuff. I just didn't know anything about psychology and any of that stuff.
Backyard, you say like backyard wrestling?
Yeah, and like I said, he hit all these moves on me. He chopped me, he clotheslined me, beat me up. I went home and pissed blood, right? And he was like, if you're back the next day, I'll train you. So I showed up, and I was the only one that showed up on everybody he beat up that day.
Did you piss blood on the second night?
No.
Okay.
He knew then I wasn't leaving, so.
Hell yeah.
And part of my face paint, I do the skull with the little stitches. People think that's a Jack Skellington thing. Really, it's not. He used to run haunted houses, and he did a character called Voodoo Pearson, and he wore the skull. And he passed away a couple of years ago from pancreatic cancer. And when he passed away, I went to his kids, and I was like, hey, how would you guys feel about me doing the voodoo character? And they were like, well, we'd love for you to. We think he would like it too. So half of my face paint is usually that.
Oh, that's rad for him.
The other reason I wear the cowboy hat is that character wore a cowboy hat. And he did these haunted houses out in town, and he did like these little commercials for it, but there's like this trailer and the chainsaw, creepy southern cult leader type stuff. Like he had a body count, the cops were looking into it, that kind of shit. Then he would run haunted houses, and he'd run, the kind of stuff you walk through and they jump out and scare you, and they didn't touch you, none of that stuff. And so I adopted that as part of the persona.
Yeah.
And You know, so it's,
Hell yeah.
I don't go anywhere if they don't let me do it because it's a tribute, and no one's ever told me not to.
Oh, well, that's sweet, dude. Cheers to that. Cheers to that guy.
Yeah, thank you.
Carrying on his memory.
He was awesome. If you look up a wrestler called Payne, that was him. So.
I'm glad you brought up haunted houses because the fall is coming up soon, and I'm very excited to go to haunted houses this fall. It's one of my favorite things to do.
My wife's been in a couple of little just B movies. This guy named Chuck Connery films them in around like Grundy County. I'm trying to get her in on some of those like scare acting gigs, you know, where you just jump out.
Yeah.
And she's been killed in like 3 B movies, so you know. And I think I'm getting ready to be in one. I don't know what it's going to be called yet, but I think I'm going to do something crazy. I made a joke and told him I wanted to run around naked carrying his chicken, and he's like, it's going to be close to that, so we're going to see.
It might just be a goat.
Yeah. You know, whatever. I mean. You fellas aren't thinking about fucking these chickens. I don't know. Maybe. I don't know.
There's a really cool, in Killeen, Alabama, there's a haunted house called the Arx Mortis. And like, they're not one of these ones where they just kind of come and set up and like there for a little while and then go somewhere else. It's like they're there all the time. And like through the off seasons, like in February, they'll open up for like Valentine's Day, and they'll do like a 2-week Valentine's Day run. And they'll open up, you know, periodically. You know, it's like one of the really coolest places if you guys have ever had a chance to go down.
Very sick. I haven't heard of that. I don't think I've done a haunted house out of state. I have been to a few that are like 45 minutes or an hour away from
Ben Dixon does
Nashville.
a really good one called the Slaughterhouse. He took over that.
That one's great.
I think
been
he's
there.
got. I think it used to be on like Murfreesboro Road or something like that, and he's moved it over by where his Full Moon Cinema is. So he's got a cinema. He runs old science fiction and horror movies and stuff like that.
Yeah, I used to live right over there, actually. I used to live in that area, right by that spot. It was, that's a weird place, because it's a tattoo studio / movie theater and haunted house. It's kind of a whole...
A little bit of everything.
Yes, dude.
Ben's a good guy. He came in and he did an episode a few years ago when we were in Lebanon and talked about, you know, what got him into it. And so if you guys are interested, that's definitely a good episode to check out. And he's just one of those dudes that are like just into like horror and stuff like that, and he just kind of followed his passions, and he's made some movies, some B movies and stuff. And how I first got heard of Ben Dixon's name is Clay, who was in a band called FUCT in Nashville back in the day. It was one of the top Nashville hardcore bands in the day. His name actually come up in the search for these movies that are in, and then that's how I got, you know, into like Ben Dixon and what he was doing, and then he wound up taking him and his wife Stacy, who's an actress, very hot. She does these movies too and everything, and like it was just one of those things. Like he's like, if you're into horror, if you're into wanting to do something in Nashville, especially, man, he's got the gambit. I mean, you can go like, especially in the fall in the Halloween season, he's got the Slaughter House, he's got the fucking Full Moon Cinema, then get a fucking tattoo.
The tattoo shop in there.
Oh, and then
or whatever.
in I think it's April or May, he has the Full Moon Horror Con and Tattoo Festival. So for 4 days out of the week, he has all these like vendors will come out and set up shop. All these tattoo artists will come out, and then all these actors that will come out. I met Malcolm McDowell out there, and fucking the Kane Hodder who plays Jason.
I want to meet him.
Yeah.
That's on the list. I got
He's cool.
got the Kane Hodder Jason on my hand.
No, that's
Kane Hodder is one of my favorite Jasons, but every movie that he's been in has been dog shit, and I'll go and
I want to watch
saying
Hatchet,
that.
even if it's bad.
God, I couldn't sit through it.
Even if it's terrible, even if it's terrible, I just feel like I have to watch that, and I will do it.
And it's free, and I think it's like a Tubi.
Yeah. That's where I saw it. I think Tubi or Peacock or
I
something.
mean, if you're into Kane Hodder, definitely check it out. I definitely wouldn't say it, but man, it was so hard to try to sit there. I couldn't sit through it.
Never heard a bad story about people meeting him though, so that's cool.
He's one of those dudes that like you get drawn into. Like William Forsythe
Parasite was one of those things. I mean, he draws you in and puts his arm around you, and he just makes you feel like he's like your big brother and shit. He was cool. Sid Haig was one of those ones that scared the fuck out of me, man.
I got to meet him very briefly for like 5 minutes, and it was the coolest fucking thing ever.
I ran into him a couple of times, and it's like the very first time I saw him, I saw him from across the convention center, and we locked eyes, and like it's one of those things like, the size of the head on that motherfucker, man. He's like a pit bull, and he's already fucking 8 foot fucking tall, man. It's just like, I saw it, and just the most intimidating looking motherfucker, man. You're like, God, dude, it's like electrifying. When I finally got to meet him, I was so scared I couldn't look him into the eye. Like when I met eyes with him, it's like.
Well, when I met Sid Haig, it was by accident. There was this convention in Nashville. It was some kind of horror con. There was tattoo artists. There was horror actors. There was scream queens. There was a couple of bands. They were doing panels. An old tattoo artist of mine was working on it, and I was just chilling at his booth helping him, talk to people and stuff. And Sid was just kind of walking around, and I walked up to him because he was shaking hands. I shook his hands like, man, big fan of your work. It's nice to meet you. He was like, oh, let me guess. He was like, you're a House and Devil's Rejects fan. I was like, well, yeah,
dude. I mean, who is it?
And I was like, man, could I get you to say one of your lines for me, right? And this is by the point he was walking with a cane. He wasn't getting around real great. And he was like, well, maybe, which line? And I was like, oh, the Tutti Frutti one. And he was like, he takes his glasses off and just hands them to me and starts doing this shit, like he's stretching, right? He's like, I'm going to work. I'm going to work. And I was like, I thought he was fucking with me, right? And he just leans his head back. I think I'll have me some Tutti fucking Frutti. And everybody just fucking starts clapping. He takes a little bow and he puts his hand on me and he's like, thank you for enjoying my work. I was like, you gonna kiss me? Because that's fine.
Sure. I'll have Captain's Paul.
Yeah, and he just walked around after that and was hugging people, picking babies up, like he was everybody's granddad. Like he was such a wonderful. I wish I could have just hung out with him.
He's a cool dude.
Yeah, such a wonderful guy. Like we were at a convention later on after that. We didn't go talk to him, but there was probably the convention closed at like 6 that night, and he was there for like 2 more hours because people wanted to talk to him. And he stood and he stayed and waited for every person to meet him. And he didn't have to. He received no more money for that. He even started giving shit away.
Well, they're also there for the duration, so they don't have anywhere to be.
Yeah.
True.
I went there real early one time, and like the only person that was there is like, I didn't even expect to see anybody in there. Just the vendors. I went in just to buy some shit, and as soon as I came around, Gunnar Hansen, who was the original Leatherface from Texas Chainsaw.
My wife would have slaughtered families to have met him.
Dude. So it was like me and my ex-wife would walk in, and we just see him over there. So I just went over there to start talking to him. We for real sat there and talked for a whole fucking hour, man.
Yeah.
I mean, I sat and spent a whole hour, the whole fucking morning before people even started to come in with Gunnar Hansen, me and my wife, and then there was somebody else who was there. Scout Cop. She was in. She played. She was a chick in the Halloween zombie movies. Scout Taylor Compton, or I can't remember her fucking name. She was. I didn't pay no attention to her, man. I was sitting there just talking to Leatherface, man, and just dude was like the coolest fucking thing. I got pictures with him and shit. Fucking signed all my shit and everything, man. And just for a solid hour, I got to sit and talk to Gunnar Hansen, and this was like a solid good 10 years maybe before he died. So I mean, he was still prime Gunnar Hansen.
Hell yeah.
It was fucking great, man. It was just like they say never meet your heroes, like he was saying, and that is true, but like with Gunnar, man, dude, I couldn't have met a better human being, man. Good. Malcolm McDowell kind of pissed me the fuck off, but he's just, he's like, I couldn't tell if he was pretentious just because he was a Brit or just what, but it's just like he was trying to tell me a story, but through his like sidekick or like personal assistant or whoever this GIMP person was, I don't know. he had a human being that was his personal slave, which I guess, man, you get a certain point and you could have like a white slave, like that is like status.
That's the top.
Yeah, white slave. Dude, I was like, man, I'm impressed. But it's like he was talking to me through his white slave. I I felt hurt. I was wasting my $30. By the way, it was $30.
Oh, Jesus.
And at the time, man, $30 was like $30 now is nothing, man. $30 is like $3.
That can't even get you in the movies now.
Shit.
Yeah.
2 tickets, dude.
Yeah, we went and watched Deadpool and Wolverine, and it was like $30 fucking.
So what did you think about it, Joel?
Well, it was wonderful. I loved it. Yeah, I mean, the thing is, like, going back, I feel like some of those characters are a trend now, which is fine. They deserve to be popular. But I loved them before they were cool. Like Blade, dude, I was a kid. I was like fucking 13 years old. And Blade came out, and people were like, oh man, why is he black? I'm like, Blade's always black.
Yeah. Dude, what are you talking about?
I love the black folks, by the way. I even got the card to use the word. We
love you.
So what I was going to say is, like, the reason why I love Wolverine and Deadpool is my takeaway from that is that they could totally do a Blade.
Yeah.
Like, they could come out with Blade 4. I think
they will.
I mean, he's 60.
Yeah.
Well,
The Blade ages, though. So
they've got a greenlit one already, so I don't know if they're going to come out with a Wesley
I
Snipes
think they'll
one.
do like a multiverse. Because they purposely put the gray in the beard and shit.
Right. Dude, they
if
can
you
do it.
remember, Whistler mentions how he ages like a human. That's the only disadvantage he has. He's not allergic to silver. He can walk in the daylight. He's as strong as fucking 20 men, but he does age. But I think, like when I was a kid, I remember seeing the preview for Blade, and I remember going to my mom, I was like, what do I have to do to get you to take me to see Blade? Because it's 18 and up. And my mom was like, when you see all that shit on video games, and you beat your buddies up in my yard, like, let's just go fucking watch the movie. So me and my mom go watch it, and I was like, fucking Blade. And I've considered a tattoo of Blade for years.
You should do it.
And now it's like, man, he's a fucking trend now. If I do it now, they're like, oh man, you're doing it with these. I mean, fuck you. I've loved him since I was a kid. I had the Blade comics. They were in my house fire and all that shit.
So the first Blade is I didn't give a shit about the sequels, but the first Blade, I mean, that opening fucking scene.
Oh, he wops out a nightclub by himself and then pieces the fuck out after he burns a guy.
But just the blood rain and shit. I mean, it's just.
Yeah, dude, if I met Wesley Snipes, I'd be scared to talk to him because of that scene. I'm not afraid of any fucking body. But,
all right. Let's see. What time is it? The time is 8:15. So let's get to Cal.
All right.
Cal.
Yeah.
sure, man.
Who is your favorite fucking comedian?
Who?
All time.
All time. I got to pick
top
one.
five.
I'm going to do a top 5.
But end with your favorite of all time.
Favorite of all time. All right.
In no discernible order except for number 1.
Okay. Let's see. Okay, all right, I got my number 1. Let's go to the top 5 that I've got right now. Kyle Kinane, great comic.
Hell yeah.
Mark Maron, I liked him a lot when I first started, especially the stuff he did back in like the 2000s to 2010s. Really funny guy. Eddie Pepitone, great guy, real funny. I don't know, let me think of a number 4. I know my number 1, hold on. Let's throw in. All right. Number 1 comment. All right. I'll do top 4. Number 1 all-time favorite, definitely Norm Macdonald.
Okay.
All-time.
Fantastic.
Amazing comic. Hilarious.
So Norm I see.
Yeah.
Kinane I didn't see.
Really?
Yeah.
No, I like Kinane a lot. I like that he's a big time storyteller, likes to stretch those things out, likes to big setup, huge payoff, that kind of stuff.
All right, so you didn't throw a classic in there, so if you're going to
Okay.
let's throw a classic.
I'll do a classic. I liked Carlin and Hicks, like those guys are good, but I feel like it's one of those things where it's like outside of the context of the time, it's like fine.
one of my buddies from work is watching right now, so. Hi, buddy. What's up, Tyler?
What's up, Tyler? How you doing?
After a certain period, it's like tough to really determine who's the funniest. I'm 31, so it's like from like late 90s on is kind of like where it's more relatable to me. I mean, if I'm gonna give credit to like old school comics, I'm gonna, just for what they did, maybe not material, I'm gonna say Lenny Bruce. The dude died first sins kind of deal. Like guy was getting arrested all the time, free speech stuff, drove him to overdose on morphine just so we can talk about our dicks on stage. Like he's the guy who who took the bullet for everybody. So like, if I'm gonna go for like biggest contribution to comedy, it's gonna be Lenny Bruce. The guy started.
We've lost picks here, so.
Yeah.
This show has been known to be fairly gay at times. So
Yeah.
I'm for it. I'm for it. Love
we're
is,
very inclusive.
We are.
love is for everybody. Marry who the fuck you love.
Yeah.
Fuck who you love too.
That's right.
In a good way, not a fuck them, but fuck them.
Fuck them.
Whatever works for you, I'm for it.
I'm not really keeping up, but I'm actually enjoying myself. It's been a long week, and I felt that
Feel that.
I like to enjoy myself at least once a week and have some alcohol. And this busker was a gift.
That's good shit, man. I have to buy a bottle.
I just say it's very like enjoyable. It's like not like it lets you know it's Irish whiskey. Like it's not like smooth, but I mean it's like you're not tasting the.
It
barrel.
doesn't punch you in the mouth.
Yeah. It's not like my first wife,
There you go.
my last girlfriend.
Who punched you in the face? I guess. Whatever.
She that bitch grabbed me by the shoulders and threw me to a fucking wall.
Oh yeah, you should have married her.
That's right.
That's a woman, dude.
The first time my girlfriend pinned me into a wall, I was like, yep, that's the one.
She was like, make me bleed, so I give her the 2 inches and I punch her in the mouth.
Hell yeah, dude.
I did not condone that sort of thing. I did not condone that sort of thing.
No, you did not.
Consensual.
I swear I got muscles and tattoos. Like I thought you fucking dick. Whatever.
So I first read that joke in I think it was Hustler back in the day, and I think the original joke was she wanted me to give her 12 inches and make it hurt, so I fucked her twice and punched her in the mouth.
Yeah, I think it was the one that I saw was similar. It was like she said she wanted me to fuck her till she bled, so I went till I was done and punched her in the mouth. I was like,
There you go.
that's terrible. Funny.
That's the thing about
Funny, but terrible.
that you can take something and then you can't twist it. I mean, there are a lot of people now that get accused of downright plagiarism, but like, especially
Are all photograph for actually doing that.
Yeah.
So like,
no, I mean, like you saw the footage of like Joe Rogan getting up on and like confronting Mencia on stage. Like that's scary.
Yeah.
Like, Joe Rogan walked up on me. I don't know what the fuck to do, man. Like, holy shit.
he's got hands and feet. He's got
hooks, apparently.
I would just take my L. I mean, just give me a knockout blow. I'll fall down and make it look good.
Yeah.
I'll do this all the time anyway. Let's just.
The leg kick, that would be rough. But yeah, with the dark comedy stuff, like getting into like, all right, so this is my movie pitch. All right, I thought of it earlier this week. I'm pitching it right now. No one take this idea. I promise you won't want to. Right. So like, indie, fun, funny, like road trip movie. We've seen a lot of those, but this one is like a father and a daughter, and they live in like the middle of Texas, and they got to drive out of state to get her an abortion. So, like Little Miss Sunshine, but like, but at the end, she gets an abortion. So that's. I'm working on the script right now. We're outlining. We're trying to, work the acts out, but
That's actually pretty fun.
I think it's a great movie.
All right, so if you've got to go for it, though.
Yeah. Lean into it. No sad stuff. No Sundance
You
bullshit.
have to lean into it. Like,
Yeah.
it has to be like the backbone of
Yeah,
it. Like,
yeah.
you need to let people know right up front,
Yeah.
this is happening.
Yeah.
But no, man, that's great.
Yeah.
Like, even in like, dude, you could do so much on like a low budget these days,
Oh,
especially
yeah.
if you're doing something like in a comedy.
Yeah.
Do it shaky cam, fucking do it in a hurry. Like, dude, there's so much that you could really do, especially with
Yeah.
a comedy. Like a horror movie, you
Yeah.
really have to nail certain points.
Yeah.
But in a comedy, just make it funny, man.
You get a mirrorless camera, like a Sony mirrorless and a fucking gimbal, and you can shoot that shit, 3 to 5 second shot sequences, and like, I do video stuff, but like, it's not hard to do. You literally like a tripod, a gimbal, and like,
So what's hard
good
about it
camera.
is sticking the landing. So many movies
Yeah.
start off great and
Yeah.
then 45 minutes into it, you can get no fucking shits.
Yeah.
The ending ones, like 40-Year-Old Virgin, great fucking movie up until 45 minutes into it, and they couldn't stick the landing. Most movies, like, or comedies, like they start off great, but they can't stick the landing.
Oh yeah, I feel like what are the like my peak like middle school, high school, like fucking super bad. Pineapple Express.
Same.
One of the all-time greats. Like, it's such a great
But
fucking
they couldn't
film.
stick the landing up.
I feel like they really built, like, at the ending, like, the ending was I don't know, I liked it a lot.
Tropic Thunder.
Tropic Thunder's great.
Yeah.
Step Brothers is another good one.
Did you say Tropic Thunder?
I feel like Pineapple Express, the worst, not the worst part of it, but the part that's, like, struggling with it is probably more the, like, 3/4 in. But I feel like they definitely hit a good, like,
so when they
climax.
When they got lost in the woods.
Yeah.
That's the moment where it really just starts to wane.
Yeah.
There's no funny premise.
Yeah.
Funny start, but when they got lost in the woods, that's when it was just like, all right, this is a Saturday Night Live sketch.
Yeah. Well, what I did like about it, though, aside from story, just breaking it down, not even every scene, every fucking sequence in that movie is a setup for a joke.
Yeah.
Every sequence in that movie, there's no dead space. Even if the jokes don't land, every sequence, every like 5 shots is a joke. Like, there's nothing, even like when he's on the phone with his girlfriend and then she's like, I want to marry you, and he's like, I made a mistake. Like, even like in super emotional moments, like everything about it is a setup for a joke, which is what I really, really liked about it.
There's a lot of realism to that, especially the point with him dealing with his drug dealer, with James Franco. And the point, it's like, drug dealers like think that you're a friend. They're not your friend. Yeah. You're not over there for like personal reasons.
But and it's such a. I feel like that's the premise of the movie, which is like he talks about it at the beginning of the movie, which I like sometimes when it's like, oh, you can see what the movie is, especially on a second watch through, you're like, that makes a lot of sense, because he's talking on the phone to the talk show, and he's like, oh yeah, the drug dealer actually your friend, he's not your friend. So like, yeah, it's the whole premise, and like you said, it's like a super relatable concept, which is nice.
It's true.
But
It's a good movie.
It's a great movie. It's a great film.
Danny McBride, it's a fucking winner.
Yeah, that's where I nerd out. Is the
I started watching Vice Principals the other day. Fantastic. I love him. I love Walter Goggins.
So both of them in that show in particular, but both of them fit those characters so much, and I just love. Especially in the first season where they're burning that bitch's house down. Oh my fucking god, man! That's like the best episode of that fucking series, man. I'm just pissed off that we're not going to see Danny McBride in that last Alien movie.
Really?
Yeah, because they left it over as a open, like it's like Danny McBride and David with all the fucking alien embryos, and they're taking off from the ship. And they were supposed to be a to be continued, and like we're never going to see that movie. It's never going to happen. That's just going to be.
There was a big trailer for that when I saw the Deadpool movie.
For Romulus.
For Alien, yeah.
Yeah, the new one I wound up seeing, and they went back old school with it. So like I'm happy for it. I don't know if I'd see it.
All I saw was like this little like long stretch, and there was water. And he's like, oh, there's something in the water. There was that, and then like they showed them coming out of these little glass chambers. Then of course there was the chest bursters. But they have a device apparently. It's like a portable X-ray or some shit like that. It shows like a light, right? So this one, I can't remember if it was a man or a woman, but they have the.
It's a woman, but don't blow it.
Yeah, they have the. It was just a preview.
Yeah.
It shows that
it's pivotal though.
They have the deal, and she turns that on, and you can see it.
Yeah.
It's nuts.
Fucks them up. Yeah.
It's one of those things where they took elements from the last 4 Alien movies, not counting the Predator ones, but like. Dude, so like they really set it up right at the end when you think like it's over, and then they like go complete batshit, and you can see like, oh, we're in a horror movie now. So if you haven't seen it, it's great. I don't know if I'll see it in the theater. I haven't decided yet. I've watched it twice already on bootleg. Things like this I would usually see in the theater, but I don't know if I'm going to. I don't know.
To me, it's just different watching.
All right, upcoming gigs. What are your upcoming gigs?
I don't know, man. Open mics. I think my next gig is probably coming back on this show in a month.
All right, well, calendar back
I'm just
September
hanging out.
21st.
Yeah. Come to open mics in Nashville. You'll probably see me unless I'm like incredibly depressed and deciding to quit comedy again. So that's a lot your luck, but yeah, good to meet you.
I'm gonna come check that out.
Good luck tonight. I got a sticker right here. Good to meet you. Bitches, thanks. All right.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to welcome Mr. Matt Nagy to the show.
Oh, I gotta move down.
Yeah, it's okay.
Here we go. I'm going.
Would you like all shots?
I'm old. No, I'm good right now.
All right.
I'm old. Here we go. Been arrested.
We had someone in the comments say, did y'all go to Kill Tony? I don't know who Turd Gherkin is, but I was on Kill Tony on an episode. It was episode 535.
Not sure who Tony is, but
I was very new to stand-up. I was bad at it.
may he rest in peace, I
Not
guess.
great now, but I'm better than I was then. I know that.
So I didn't actually know what Kill Tony was until last year. A lot of people would give they would say, oh, you guys are kind of like Kill Tony. So we're clearly nothing like Kill Tony, but it's one of those things where it's like when I finally found out what the show was, it was interesting. I didn't know it was Tony Hinchcliffe's thing. Like that was the big thing. Like I always heard Kill Tony, and I just figured it was just a title. I didn't realize it was him. And it's cool. I mean, he's doing what he does. Is he roasts people, and the fact that he'll give somebody a minute to either hang themselves or do great. Just saw Fiona on there recently, man. She fucking killed.
Yeah, dude. She's done 2 Kill Tony sets. They've both been great.
Well, I saw she did one last year or something like that. I didn't know.
No. It's been 2 recently.
Okay, so I saw the one that was recently, like probably about a month ago.
Yes. Well, there was one literally like 2 weeks ago, I think. On top of that, like she's done like 2 this year, I think, in the span of, I don't know, like 3 months or something. It is very impressive, though.
Yeah, Fiona, man, she's the reason why we split into 2 different shows. I mean, she's the reason why we became the comedy show.
No?
Yeah, it was one of those things. It was like, I remember that episode, we wound up losing the band for that night, so I booked it heavy with comedians. So we had about 10 comedians that night, and we had Fiona start it off. And right before we went live, Sloan leaned into me. He's like, so this is season 1, episode 1, right? And I'm like, what? At the end of that show, I leaned into Sloan. I was like, dude, this is season 1, episode 1. It was just like, we're a different show. Like this, we didn't need a band like, we would think that we normally would have to have a band. It was one of those things, like everything just kind of worked. And it was really because of Fiona. I mean, like she kind of took it by the very first thing we told everybody was like, hey, don't do rape jokes. And the very first fucking thing out of her mouth, she started doing rape jokes. I'm like, Fiona. She's like, what? I'm crippled. I'm like, God damn.
Damn, girl.
Mr. Matt Nagy, how have you been, sir?
Doing good.
All right, so you've been in the studio here lately. Tell us what you've got going on.
Oh, geez, I live in the studio. Been doing a lot of stuff for other people, but it's still working on my stuff. Hopefully by next year I can have another full album out. But so far this year I've had an EP in February and just a single release in just last month and on the 4th of July. But I've been doing a lot of work for other artists, either writing songs for them or playing on their stuff. But it's been busy.
That's good.
That's the main
good
thing.
that it's busy.
Yeah. I don't stop.
All right. Well, you're here obviously to play a song. Tell us about your song that you're about to play.
This would be one off my first full-length release I had called Shadows in the Dark. It's called The Outlaw. And, I mean, I think it's been, when people hear it, it's been taken wrong. It's like, it's kind of sounds maybe political or trying to make a statement. I was just upset with someone when I wrote it.
There's a pissed off white dude.
Yeah. So it's nothing political or nothing.
Right.
But I was just really kind of upset with the situation.
It's a beautiful guitar, by the way.
Thank you. Your voice is good. I think what voice is cold as winter. Your eyes, they can kill. Your heart is filled with nothing, and your heart is gold of steel. Resist, resist. I must remember this. I will not fall in line this time. Your rules are for the weak, that you preach from top of the mountain. Holier than thou, your words spill out like a filthy fountain. Did they promise you the world? Did they promise you everything? Did they promise you the world? Did they promise you everything? Resist, resist. I must remember this. I will not play the game this time. Resist, resist. I must remember this. I will not fall in line this time. I will raise my voice in defiance. I will live outside of the law. I will raise my hand in resistance. I am the outlaw. Hear me crying in the wilderness. I am the outlaw. Hear me crying in the wilderness. Outside of the law, I am the outlaw. Thank you.
Hell yeah.
So I can actually
Love
see
that.
how people would take that as a political song.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't know, especially when you start using. People are so triggered now.
Yeah,
So when you start saying like a resist or something like that, automatically they're like, "Oh, you're part of the resistance," and blah blah blah.
Exactly.
But that's also good for music too, because most music has been about resistance. So
Yeah.
whether it's political or not, you know, it's like there's always someone who is getting pissed off about
And
something.
I always like to use that theme in my music, just as like rebellion and just resistance and not following the crowd.
Now, growing up, were you a rebellious kid?
No, it's kind of funny because like my parents really didn't have very many rules for me, so it wasn't very attractive to be rebellious. I could do really whatever I wanted.
Okay, so I kind of feel like that. Like my parents were hippies, but they were also like big time drug users. So like me and my brother could do whatever the fuck we want, and like no one like looked in on us. No one gave two shits. I'm not gonna say it was great for us as far as like us the way that we turned out as children, but like when I hit my 20s, I had to hit the point where I was like, okay, maybe I'm like a piece of shit. I need to like change what I'm doing. But like there's a point where you grow up. But like as a kid, I remember being in like a punk rock band in the Reagan administration. And like there was a reason to be pissed off and write resistance songs and stuff like that. Like there was a reason to be in a punk rock band because you're pissed off and you have something to say. And like a lot of times the only like venue you have to speak your mind is at a show, whether it's like someone's garage or it's at an actual venue or something like that. Like when you have that platform and you have that ability to scream, the only way a lot of times people have to do it is in music. Like that's like the biggest way to be able to get it out there.
And I grew up with a lot of musical styles introduced mainly by my dad, but in the 80s he actually played in a punk band, and I was introduced to a lot of punk music early on, like the Sex Pistols, the Ramones, the Clash, the Dead Milkmen, the Dead Kennedys. And like I remember specifically, it's kind of a funny story. I'm surprised if it would happen nowadays. Like they would take me from my parents, but I went to kindergarten with a Sex Pistols tape.
Okay.
And they called my dad and they're like, "Did you know he had this?" And my dad's like, "Yeah, I gave it to him."
That's right.
Yes, I mean, it was cool. It was cool growing up like that. I think
It's I don't know. It's one of those things that I think it goes hand in hand, especially when you have like it seems like you have more of a political phase, like when you have like especially now, like I remember when Trump first got in office, and like I wound up joining Sloan's band. It felt right to be in a political punk rock band in that moment.
Yeah.
It reminded me of being a kid in the Reagan administration, being in a punk rock band. Like it was weird how it kind of like just folded in on itself. It's just like there was no difference other than my age. It's like I'm not like a fucking 13-year-old punk anymore, I'm a fucking 43-year-old punk now. And it's just like, or 47. But it was just one of those things. It was just like everything kind of repeats itself. And it's so funny how like I would never think that I would be in a political punk band, and then all of a sudden, there's a reason to be in one.
Yeah.
So I don't know, just it goes hand in hand. Like Rage Against the Machine, man. I mean, it's just like every time that I wind up, watching something on TV, like in the back of my mind, all of a sudden I start fucking freedom.
Man, I got into them, but like I didn't even know who they were. I'm trying to think. I don't even know if I was a teenager yet, but I remember seeing that first album, that album cover, and I'm like,
oh, The Monk?
Yeah, I'm like, this is a cool album cover, and I got that. I was like, yeah.
So it's funny that I've always seen pictures of that, and with YouTube and everything, everything that you can ever imagine is on there. And I never knew that there's actually video of that, like there's film of that.
Yeah.
I just thought it was like a snapshot. I didn't think that like there's literally like they show like one of the other monks pouring the gasoline on him, setting him on fire. The fact that he stays like upright until he dies and then eventually slumps over. Like when you see something like that image is in your head of that, like that one, the album cover essentially. But when you see it like unfold, you're like, holy fuck, like that's like
yeah, right.
They're trained their whole life like not to even react to pain like that. Like, you can stab them in the foot with a butcher knife and they'll just stand there. Like it's unreal.
But that's not like the first case of that. Like that shit has gone on, but to actually see it firsthand, like it takes that to a whole new level.
There was a lot of that in like the 80s, wasn't there? And like
so there's a lot of people doing a lot of crazy shit in the 80s.
I wish I was around for more of it, to be honest.
No, I mean, like I'm glad that I was there and I was at an age where I could enjoy the 80s for what it was. Like, I went to high school in the 80s, so I was like, late 80s, early 90s was that kind of like time capsule, this like insane golden period of like comedy and music, and just to be like, I was born in the early 70s. So growing up, I listened to what my parents, like they would have these vinyl listening parties where they would listen to music, and then once they, like when my day, we would all get together and we'd have sleepovers, and our version of it was like we'd all have VHS tapes and went to Blockbuster or something, get Little Caesar pizza, and all night long we watch horror movies. Their version of it was like they would get whatever albums that they would find, whether it's comedy or music. they'd get super stoned, get trashed, listen to all the music tracks, and once they get like fully lit, they would listen to the comedy tracks. I wish I could remember what these albums were. I wish I knew what they were so I could find them today. But some of these things that they would just have me rolling as a kid listening to these things, and this is like my early comedy stuff. And then once we got cable, and you had our George Carlin, the Muppet Show. Let me tell you about how influential. How old are you?
Muppets.
I was born in 81, 43.
Almost. The Muppet Show was by far one of the most... my very first heavy metal experience was Alice Cooper on the fucking Muppet Show, man.
That's wild.
I've seen videos of that.
Okay, so I'm sure it's on YouTube, but like to see that unfold live for the very first time on TV was mind-blowing. Like, to me, all I knew was Lou Ferrigno, Incredible Hulk, and Battlestar Galactica, and then all of a sudden you got fucking Alice Cooper on the Muppet Show, Welcome to My Nightmare. Dude, that was life-changing. Like, that was a moment where, like, the shit flipped, where I was no longer a child watching the Muppet Show. I was a young adult watching Alice Cooper. Like, the shit flipped. Like, I didn't give a shit about who the fuck Ernie and Bert was. I want to know who the fuck Alice Cooper was. Speaking of, Mr. Nagy, would you like to grace us with another song?
Yeah. Yes.
Oh yeah, dude.
What year is that Grish? And did you have that custom made?
No, it's just a standard. I think I got it in 2021.
And so it came with the eagle and everything on there?
Yeah.
All right. Right on.
That is rap, dude.
I came into town on 65 South with nothing but a song and a dream. I'm believing on 40 East when I go with nothing but my guitar and a broken heart. I came into Nashville City seeking my fame and fortune, just another guitar picker, hungry and on the streets, and that's where I first met Angie. And man, that was all she wrote, and I wrote 1,000 songs for her. And we would dance and sing until the southern sun would shine. But Angie, I still wish that you were mine. I came into town on 65 South with nothing but a song and a dream. I believe in on 40 East when I go with nothing but my guitar and a broken heart. One day I woke up and find that my sweet Angie had left before the southern sun did rise. Now I'm leaving it all behind me, watching the bright lights of the city fade behind me fast, and I'm putting miles between us as a tear rolls down my cheek, and I'm finding my way back home. But Angie, I still wish that you were mine. I came in town on 65 South with nothing but a song and a dream. I believe in on 40 East when I go
was there in Angie?
No. It's just about being in Nashville and seeing people that come and go, and just I gave it a little story.
Yeah. Now, you spent some time in Colorado, right?
No. I've visited like on vacation for like a week once, but
Oh, okay.
no, I've never lived there.
So mainly just PA.
Yeah, just I've lived in PA and then Tennessee.
What part of Pennsylvania?
Originally the Johnstown area, then a little bit of time up in the State College area, but
Okay.
I've been in Nashville since 2017.
I've been to like King of Prussia before.
Oh, okay, up by like above Philly.
And Hershey.
Oh, yeah, I lived in Hershey a little bit too. Yeah.
I've been there.
Very cool.
Hershey's cool.
I've gone to the Hershey Hotel a couple times.
Yeah, Hershey's cool. It's a cool place.
No, I've always just driven past the amusement park. Like every time I've gone to Hershey, it has not been the time to go for the amusement park. It's been like in November for like 2-3 days, or like March,
the park is
February.
great.
Yeah, it's never. I always want to go to see like I like Scranton or Hershey, like Bears, or Hershey, was it Penguins maybe? So the AHL team that's there, the American League.
Honestly,
hockey.
I'm not sure.
I want to say it's the Hershey. I want to say it's the Hershey Bears.
I think it is the Hershey Bears. Yeah.
And then Scranton has the mini penguins, the baby penguins, we can call them. Yeah.
I saw some penguins at the zoo Saturday. That was cool.
Oh, dude, the penguins at the zoo are rad.
Yeah, they're like those African penguins that live in the warm, and they're way different than like, I don't know, whatever cold penguins are. I'm not a doctor or a scientist. I don't know I don't know what the fuck I'm doing, but it was
Draven
fun.
does know how to throw people though.
I'm pretty good at throwing people and bashing them in the face with light tubes. That's about it.
Yes.
Would you arm wrestle Nick?
Oh yeah.
And I would lose.
And no, he would crush me.
I'd like to see. I
got bad elbows.
With you literally want to see it.
See, I had his girlfriend try to choke him. He didn't even get choked out. I was ready to get choked out.
Oh, my arm.
Right. I just wanted to. This is your show.
Okay. That's true.
We're doing this. All right.
Yeah.
We're gonna do,
right.
how do we make it official? Is this like good
Nothing's
stance?
official. He's had a couple of drinks in him. You're sober.
Oh, dude, I'm stoned.
Is anybody really
have my mic over here. How do I can't do it with the mic.
You don't need to be mic'd. There.
I don't need to be mic'd.
You don't need to be mic'd. There you go.
It'll
The
catch.
sounds will echo.
Okay.
All right.
I'll do it. It's not gonna be fun.
You know the rules, right? You gotta go.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
No.
Do I put my hand
Here,
here?
I'll brace you.
You are allowed to bend to a certain degree. You're not allowed to use more than one hand. All that nonsense.
Just give him 50%. Just
I
kidding.
got you.
Okay.
Someone's gonna. Who's referee?
All right.
The ref?
1, 2, 3.
He ain't going yet. Come on with it. Let me have it.
Oh man, I can't even move it. I can't move it. Dude, his arm is so big.
All right, put him out of his misery.
Yeah, just do it. Just do it.
I don't even got more than that.
Don't,
I was gonna let you
man.
win in case your girlfriend was watching.
No, dude. What do you think was gonna happen?
I'm lit, man. I'm just
I'm gonna start
all
do shit. I'm gonna start training him next week.
Yeah. Oh my God, can we film it?
Can we train? Can I train with you once? We have a camera. We can film
I'll
it.
come down here to the gym somewhere. Yeah, we'll
Okay.
we'll fuck it up.
We'll fucking film it. That'd be great.
I'm down.
We're
Absolutely.
gonna call it Nick Gets Ripped. It's better than the one show we were gonna do Nick Gets Pegged, but Nick's Get Ripped is a whole much better thing.
I'm definitely not gonna peg him.
I can wear short shorts. It'll
No, I'm
be
not, man. Weekend to weekend.
So, $20 is $20.
Yeah, you know, not anymore. $100 is $20.
That's right. You are right.
Thank you, sir. That'll be $200. May I have another?
All right, we're going to do one last song with Mr. Nagy.
Oh yeah, yeah.
All right.
Cool.
What is this song and what is it about?
This song's called Together, and it's just kind of like a goofy lyric just about being together with someone. And it's kind of funny because when I play it by myself, like with acoustic, it's kind of like a John Prine song, but like the way I record it, it's more like a Ramon song.
Oh.
Together is better. It's better than being alone. Together is better. We could ride out the weather and maybe we could build a home. Life was meant to share with the one you love. The good and the bad, the happy and the sad, in the rain and the sunshine. So let's make a plan. We can gather the band. We can live in harmony. Living in harmony, yeah. Living in harmony, yeah. Living in harmony, yeah. Living in harmony. Together is nicer. It's nicer than being alone. Together is nice, we'll be like sugar and spice, and it feels so right at home. Together is sweeter than being alone. Together is sweeter, and you know when you need her that it's better than being alone. Together is better. It's better than being alone. Together is better. We can ride out the weather and maybe we could build a home.
All right.
Good stuff.
All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it is that time. It is 9 p.m. and we are going to tell you to go fuck yourself and have a great night. But first, Mr. Matt Nagy, what are your upcoming gigs, sir?
I'm playing this Saturday at, I want to say it's Hampshire Distillery in Clarksville with a group I'm with now called 422 West. Then Bad Axe Brewing on September 26th. And there's a Shea Girl Coffee House September
Shady Girl?
Shea Girl
I like Shady Girl better.
on September
Know a little bit
14th.
of both.
Yeah, I think I got all of them.
Gotta collect them.
Draven, what are your upcoming gigs, brother?
This Saturday, I'll be in Morristown, Tennessee for Intense Championship Wrestling Asylum. Wrestling a guy named Lenny Stratton, a guy I wanted to wrestle for a while. Next weekend, I'll be in Crossville for Resolute, their big summer Sizzler event. We're in a tag team dog collar match. We're going to be chained together, 4 of us.
With the dog call?
Oh yeah, going to do a bunch of crazy shit.
That's for real.
He won't let me do light tubes, but I'll probably do some other stuff.
Light tubes? Like
yeah.
the fluorescent?
Yeah. There's a hardcore match on the card. Caleb that runs the show, Caleb Courageous, he's coming out of semi-retirement for a tag match. They're wrestling the Carnies. Big tag team. They've done Ring of Honor, stuff like that.
Okay.
Carrie Awful and Nick Iggy, if you want to look those guys up. After that in September, I don't even remember what I've got on my calendar. I gotta look it up. Half the time I agree to something and I forget about it. They hit me. Are you coming? Yeah, I'm on my way. I'm still in bed. Oh yeah, I'll be right there, man.
I'm here.
6 hours away. I'll be there when I get there.
October 5th here.
Oh yeah, actually, Matt Nagy is here October 5th for the Evening of Comedy, which is back September 21st. We've been on a break for a while. We've been enjoying the Nickathon here with the OG podcast. Nick, speaking of, what are your upcoming gigs, sir?
I've got obviously all these episodes that we do on Wednesdays.
Nick is here all the fucking
All the
time.
time. And I've got Funny on the Spot at Third Coast, September 6th, and I'm doing a show at Planet of the Tapes in Louisville, September 20th. And then I'm driving right back here to do our show the 21st.
Damn straight you are, motherfucker.
So, we love you. Fuck you all. Good night, dude.
That was fun, guys.